So YouTube has been pushing this thing to content creators, and I don't know if it's all of us, but it says, tell us, boost your memberships by telling us about your channel. It's really hard to tell you like what's your talk about your channel and why you should join. It's knife content. Like it'd take me 30 seconds. Tell us about your channel. I review knives, which like that's it. There's like over 2,000 videos on this channel of knives. But what I can tell you that is something as cool is I can tell you why the channel even exists. And it's simply because at the time I started the channel, I had just retired from the military. And across the military, across the board, knives are a thing that everybody's kind of into. And you might be into cheap knives, you might be into expensive knives. Matter of fact, I was in the Navy, so I had a specific knife that I still own. I'm showing it there. It's a sailor's knife. It's the first knife that was ever given to me on the ship. And it had been passed down from other sailors to me, from a supervisor to me. And it fit a specific purpose. But knives were something that everyone's into across the military. Everybody carries a knife pretty much, depending on where you're at, what you need it for, things like that. They're issued to you. But when I got out, I was working for a company, Lockheed Martin, and I was getting paid a lot. Plus, I had my retirement, and I was getting a lot of money, and I was spending it on stuff that I wanted. And I had gotten into expensive custom knives. I really had gotten into expensive custom knives. And my knife journey kind of starts backwards because when I got out of the military, I got into really expensive knives. And now I've worked my way down to things that are like your daily carry, more really good budget knives. And as opposed to some people that start at budget and work their way up, I'm working my way in reverse. And that has a lot to do with the way the channel works now and what you see on the channel. Because I had some really expensive custom knives, and I still have a couple really expensive custom knives. Like Norseman, I would say qualifies as a custom knife. But I have another one that I'm showing you on the screen there. And I realized, because at the time I didn't know that knife shows were a thing. That's a complete thing now. I go to knife shows and I film. I didn't know that knife shows were a thing. So there was no real way for me to even get any of these knives in hand. So I had these custom knives and I would get them, and there was a lot of times I'm just disappointed. Sometimes it was the craftsmanship. Sometimes it was just the overall design. It didn't fit my hand. And I'm like, wow, I just can't, I can't make an informed decision. And I had, at the time the channel started, just recently purchased a Microtech DOC. Well, actually I had purchased a Microtech DOC, a whale shark, and 3 Ultratechs. So I was spending a lot of money at the time. But I fell in love with the DOC, and I was like, wow, I wonder if people have questions about this. And I'm like, well, I can do a video and I can tell them like how good this knife is. Because at the time I had had the DOC for a while, and I had just recently received the Horizon D by Riyadh. And I'm like, wow, these are amazing quality production knives. And I'm like, more people need to see this. So I did some videos. And they were really badly done. You can see the original video up here. You can click on it. It's be in one of these corners. I don't know where it'll pop up. Still don't know that. But it was definitely something I realized I could do this, and I could do videos and give people my opinions on knives, the things that I found problematic with them. And it's all been, from day one, been based on my opinion. And then I realized that people get really upset when you give them your opinion on a knife they love, and they're like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, you're an idiot. And I had to really start tempering what I would say in the comment section, because I realized I did not know that there was such a fervent fan base for some of these companies. But I started noticing things more keenly because I was doing a lot of sharpening, and I had people giving me knives, and then I would have people that would watch videos that would start, and they started sending me some knives. And it definitely was just kind of interesting to start to notice that the mid-range and mid-tech market was putting out like the high-end production knives like this. And then I had made friends with the guys at Fair and Forged Knife Works, and I started seeing their stuff, which was like in-house mid-techs. You're seeing one of the really, really fancy ones right now. I realized that these custom knife makers were, and I understand why you charge so much, but I was like, their quality isn't any better, but people immediately think that you have to have a custom. And I was like, well, let's start looking at knives that are in a price point that are more accessible to people. So I started seeking out like mid-techs. And like I said, I had made friends with the guys at Fair and Forge. So I was getting knives from them. I was buying knives from them and reviewing their knives and sharpening their knives. And I'd get a bunch of them in. And I'm like, wow, this is better than a lot of the customs that I have had come in ever. Like there's a lot of times that those knives were better, way better than customs. I'm like, at a price point that is way under what you're paying for custom. And now they were $550 at the time, but custom knives were sometimes $1,200-$1,300. And I'm like, wow, $550, that's like half the price of a custom. And about that same time, Elliot Williamson at Fair and Forge Knife Works was like, well, we're going to try and start doing some OEM projects. Well, this was further along, but they were like, we can't continue to make these mid-techs because the cost of getting the stuff done and then us doing the assembly and the time it takes and the overhead was just eating up any profit they were making. So like, we're going to start releasing some designs to other companies and have them make them and do OEM, or they did some stuff through Mass Drop and was getting them released. And that's when I found out about some of these higher quality production knives. I had already seen Ray at, but that's when I started seeing We Knife Company and some of the others. And now there's just so many companies that are out there. Nick Shabazz said it best. Like right now, the hardest bar to meet is excellence. There's just so many good knives out there. And so you see companies coming into the market, putting out superbly done knives, and other companies are like, well, everybody's going to still buy our knives. And they kind of fall by the wayside, like Ontario. Sad to say. Ontario's like, well, we've always done it this way. I was like, maybe, you should look at that. I did a video where I talked about the Toys R Us model. But it's just been a way for me to kind of document knives and show people like in actual use, not just like, oh, look at this knife, it's beautiful. Oh, look at this knife, it's beautiful. Oh, look at that, that's beautiful. But to actually like take them out, test them, give real world feedback as to what you would do. I worked construction for a couple of years. I carried knives on the job site. Like, what knives served me best in this? I was an outdoorsman. I can replicate some of the things I would do out camping that I would do here out in the field if I was still on the farm. So it's just been a way over the years for me to kind of provide insight. So not to make this any longer, I'm just saying like it's just been a lot of fun to see how the knife community and the knife world has changed over the course of from 2015 till now, when I started the channel till now in 2023, almost 2024. So I just thought, YouTube gives these suggestions. I'm like, well, that's stupid. Like you can look at the description of my video and see what this channel's about. But a little insight into why I do it, how I do it, the things that I do. And I do it because I love it. I did it for free for a long time. For a while, it's been my sole source of income. Now more of that comes from the affiliate stuff, because if I find a knife I like, or if you see a knife you like, I try to put links to it in the videos. I've got sponsors now that provide, they're all sales based. They're basically affiliates with extra benefits. It's like friends with benefits. It's sales based, but then I get some other stuff on the backside. So yeah, it's just fun to see how the channel's changed. And if you're still here at the end of this video, if you're interested in my memberships, since that's what this was supposed to be for, check them out. I do a lot for the members. It's coming up. I was going to do it on December 15th, actually going to do it on December 16th. I'm going to do a big giveaway of like 5 knives that I'm going to try and get shipped out to whoever wins them. It's going to be given out to whoever wins. I'm gonna do a random number picker. I've got like 60 paying members, I think. All 60 of them are eligible, and I'll just be putting up the winner notification on a members only post. So guys, I love you all. I really do. When I say that at the end of videos, it's not a joke. I hope you enjoyed this. If you made it all the way to the end, good on you, because it's just me rambling, but it's just fun to think back on it and then realize I've got over 2,000. I think I've got 2,500 videos about knives up on a channel. That's insane to have seen that many knives. And if you guys could see behind me, I've got probably 40 knives on the top 2 shelves that are either in for review or already started review, or are finishing up their review process, and there's probably 60 more knives back. I've probably got all total stuff that's in right now, probably 200 knives that I've got to work my way through. As a matter of fact, I'm like, I want more knives to come in, but I think I have all I can handle. So guys, that's it. I do love you all. Keep it clean in the comments section. Think about joining the membership, and I'll see you guys the next time I decide to just sit in front of the camera and rant.